o'clock in Gardner, Kansas on Monday, so everyone will stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Very briefly, before we move on to public comments, want to welcome Jeannie Kuntz. She is going to be our new city clerk, although this evening she is here to observe. Say hi to everybody, Jeannie. So, welcome aboard. Jeannie comes to us after spending a few years in Prairie Village, so we're very glad to have her. At this time, we'll move on to public comments. Members of the public are welcome to use this time to make comments about city matters or items on the agenda that are not part of a public hearing. We are going to have a public hearing about the city's 2015 budget as new business item number 1, just as a reminder, folks. With that being the case, if anyone has a comment, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and be heard.
Hello, Debbie Hickman, 848 South Sumac in Gardner. I'm here to ask to postpone the public hearing for the budget until the phone calls that I made today. The only thing that was available to me to review as a citizen was what was published in the newspaper. I called, and they were very helpful about calling me back after they checked that this is really the only information I had available to me. When I reviewed this little piece of paper, it says detailed budget information is available at City Hall and will be available at this hearing. And this form is titled a budget summary. At 4 o'clock today, I didn't get the call, but the phone was on the charger, I was called to say that I could look at a budget book at the city clerk's office if I wanted to come in and take a look at it. I called back at 5:05 and didn't get through to anybody. But I feel like I haven't had an opportunity to review the budget. How can I ask a question based upon this? I have been at all the work sessions, but nothing is specific enough. There's no way from this that I can look and see and check any adjustments to salary wages scales. I can't compare what's proposed in 15 to what was available in 14. So I may be the only one, but you know what? I'm asking that we postpone the public hearing until I have an opportunity, or whoever else has an opportunity, to view detailed information like was posted in the newspaper. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Robert Page, 249 West Park Street. You people don't get tired of seeing me up here. Mine is about the cost of living increases. Merit raises, that's between you and your department heads. But cost of living wages, I know how we used to do it, and I think you ought to look into this. We take the total salaries of everybody, and if we wanted to add 2% increase, we added 2% to that. Then we took the total number of employees and divided by that figure and everyone, to the bottom man to the top man, got the same amount of increase. You go to do it on their salary, or increase like that, your wages are getting further apart all the time on your employees, and it isn't fair to the low man that's been hired in the last year or so compared to the guy that's been hired 20 years ago, or the top paying ones. Because it costs that man just as much to go down to the store and buy groceries as it does the top man. And I just feel, I've always fought for the little guy on this particular subject when I was on the council. And I think it's only fair that they come up with something like that. And that way, I don't think you'll pay out as much in the long run for cost of living increases. Whereas now you're going to be paying some of them maybe $50 and some $20. You may be paying them all $30. I'm just saying those figures. But you'll probably end up where you've got some people who worked for the city for a long time. I know there's a lot of them here that work for the city who wouldn't be happy with this. But I think it's only fair because it's a cost of living. It isn't a merit increase or anything, what kind of work you do. That's between your department heads and you people, what you want to give an employee, whether it be the bottom man or the top man. But for the cost of living, I think it should be the same for all of them. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bob. Good to see you again. Real quick before we move on to consent agenda, I do want to point out, budget books are going to be available to people that want them after. You can check tomorrow. It'll be available online starting tomorrow. And if the last few years are any indication, there is plenty of opportunity still for conversation about what goes in the budget, input from residents, conversation among council members before we actually get around to approving what's going to be the 2015 budget. So, with that, we'll move on to the consent agenda. Is there anyone on the council that would like to remove an item from the consent agenda? Consider a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion Harrison, second Freeman, that we approve the consent agenda. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. New business item number 1. Consider holding a public hearing regarding the 2015 budget. And we welcome back to the podium Laura Gorley. Good evening.
Good evening. So before we actually have the public hearing, I have a presentation. So I'm going to begin the presentation with 2014 mid-year budget highlights. A little quick review of our major funds. So as of June 30th, 2014, which means 50% of the year is completed, I'm going to walk you through our 4 biggest funds, but what I want to point out before I start anything else is that revenues and expenditures do not occur evenly over the year. All different time periods of when things come in. With that being said, we can still do a review. For the general fund, revenues are at 65% of the budget. As you can see, property taxes are running just a little bit slow, less than $50,000, but that slight decrease in property tax is more than offset by the additional $225,000 in increased revenues you see there. Expenditures overall are at 46% of the budget, 50% of the way through the year. For the water fund, as of June 30th, 50% of the year completed. Revenues are at 46% of the budget. However, that's only for usage through May, because you have to read the meter before you can bill the usage. So, the usage is through May, and that does not include any of your summertime usage. The overall expenditures are at 53% of the budget. However, that's artificially high at this time of the year, because in the water fund, transfers happen at the beginning of the year, so that reflects 100% of that component of the budget, which drives up the percentage of the overall actual to budget artificially high. So operating expenditures are the most accurate representation of budget to actual, so that takes out reporting of transfers and capital projects. You're at 32% of the budget, 50% through the year. Again, things don't occur evenly, but that's where you're at. For the wastewater fund, as of June 30th, 50% of the way through the year, your revenues are at 49% of the budget. Same thing, usage through May, and wastewater doesn't really have summertime usage because we have that tap that's done during the winter. Expenditures are at 69% of the budget. However, it's the same thing. Transfers happen at the beginning of the year, drives that artificially higher. Operating expenditures are at 33% of the budget. The electric fund works totally differently. As of June 30th, 50% of the way through the year, revenues work the same, doesn't include your summertime usage, it's only the usage through May. However, overall expenditures at 36% of the budget is artificially low in the electric fund. And the reason why is our other funds, water and sewer, have separate funds that we pay debt service from. Water development and sewer development, the electric fund does not have that. So their debt service is included in the electric fund, and because the principal payments are made in the last quarter, this is artificially low when you're doing an overall calculation. Again, operating expenditures are your true representation, 40% at actual, at 50% through the year. And that was the end of the 2014 budget highlight review. So you're in very good shape. Everything's fine. So with that, this is the presentation of the City Administrator's 2015 proposed budget. It's intended to be a roadmap for building community. As we've discussed and as we do our best practice, we use the priority-based budgeting cycle. We budget for desired outcomes. It's a multi-year planning process that also involves evaluating results and adjusting the process if we